We're 3 hours shy of a government shutdown. The last government shutdown happened in 2018, and guess who was our president? President Donald Trump. Yes, he let the government shut down for 35 days because they refused to fund the Mexico border wall, which really never got completed. And the reason Donald Trump is going to allow the government to shut down? Because he doesn't want to fund Medicaid. Yep, health care is not for all. People under Obamacare's premiums are about to shoot the fuck up. Some of them almost 114%. And right now the Democrats are trying to hold the line so we can get this back on track. And Medicaid can be funded again. Now when the government shuts down, essential workers won't have jobs. Federal workers, y'all be working for free. So don't go to the airport. Oh, and all you National Guard in Portland, y'all ain't getting paid either. SNAP and WIC are in jeopardy. And so is Section 8 housing. Head Start will also be in jeopardy. And so much more. It's crazy that Democrats have to go this far in order to save Medicaid, when Medicaid should have never been on the chopping block. And if Trump has his way, Medicaid will be gone. That was a part of that big, beautiful bill everybody was talking about was so fucking great. I have a question. Are we great yet?
Hi lovelies, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, you're welcome to Building the Verse. Don't forget to please subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications so that anytime I upload a video, you will be the first person to be notified. To my returning subscribers, to those people that share my videos, leave commentaries, and also educate each and every one of us, you guys are the real MVP. Alright lovelies, let's dive in today's video.
Time that the government entered a shutdown was back in December of 2018, and it lasted 35 days. Now, if you're saying to yourself, how can this affect you? There can be delayed paychecks and benefits. Meaning if you're a federal employee, a government contractor, or you're receiving SNAP, WIC, or those type of benefits, they can be delayed. But also small business loans and housing loans may be delayed. Passport and visa processing may slow down or pause, but also any loans through the Department of Education may be delayed because the Department of Education will be shut down. Now the reason this happened is because Congress failed to pass a budget bill or a temporary funding bill, and Donald Trump met with congressional leaders on Monday. However, that meeting was a waste of time. As stated before, the last government shutdown was in 2018 and it lasted 35 days, which took a major toll on the economy. But it's going to be interesting to see how long this government shutdown lasts and how long it takes for Congress to pass a funding bill.
And you know what pisses me off the most? The government be acting broker than our mamas after Christmas break, but always got their fucking hand out looking for something. They be handing out the biggest tax cuts, and then we'll turn around and tell the average American citizen that they broke as shit. Oh, we gotta shut down. You better go call Elon and them. You better go call Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Larry. Get them all of that. Call them all. You better go call them. I don't know what the fuck you want us to do. You gave them the biggest tax breaks. You knew that shit wasn't coming back to them, and that ROI wasn't going to be immediate, because when you gave the tax breaks, the economy was already in shitty condition. Now you looking at us. We got churches over here asking for $800,000 in donations. I'm sitting here looking like, well, damn. I only needed $50,000 to get my news station up off the ground, and I was feeling a little off or a little bad for extra donations. Then I thought about it. The government quite literally has not stopped asking for donations since they've ever existed. In fact, they were so audacious that they started asking MAGA for donations to help cover the trillions of dollars of worth of debt. They kept asking MAGA this year to help cover the trillions of dollars worth of debt in the American economy. And my question is, if there's trillions of dollars worth of debt, what the fuck gives you the right to measure my income to debt ratio? I want to know. Because it sounds to me like you giving tax breaks and shit, knowing you ain't fucking got it. Then you turn around looking at us like we got something to get a fuck up. Like shit wasn't already stretched thin. Like we wasn't already robbing Peter to pay motherfucking Paul. Like we wasn't already trying to stretch $1 and to trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. You handing out tax breaks left and right. You get a tax break, you get a tax break, you get a tax break, and trying to squeeze the middle class as if there was any money there to begin with. That's why they call it the middle class. It's only some there, it ain't a lot. And y'all still got y'all hand out. Ask you better, bitch, you better go ask Elon. They over there jumping for joy every other day about the investments that they got. JD Vance, don't he own Rumble? $26 billion in share, or $26 million in shares of Rumble. Don't he also own that company that just swiped them farms from up underneath them farms, 7th generation of farms? Don't he also did he co-found that company? Ain't they making money up off that shit? The company that JD Vance co-owns that provides funding to Rumble is a funding company. It's not just no regular old company. It's a funding company. And then y'all just make like $55 billion off of the selling of EA Sports. If you don't get the fuck out my face asking me for some goddamn money. Like you ain't just spent over 2 years handing us your ass to kiss when we told you to stop sending our money up overseas. I ain't got it. You better go turn one of them billionaires upside down. Shake their pockets out. Y'all celebrities at the top that's been getting nefarious shit over these years, Kardashians, you know I'm talking to you. You better get your affairs in order, get them ducks in a row, baby. Because once they realize we ain't got it, where you think they come to get it from? It ain't from our couch cushions, I can guarantee you that.
Well, I am leaving the Capitol. The government has officially shut down. Let me just explain how we got here today. There were 2 bills on the Senate floor. One was a Democrat-backed bill. Even if it did pass, which wasn't going to happen, it wouldn't have averted a government shutdown because it hadn't passed the House before. These are both temporary funding bills to kick the can down the road just a few weeks. Another was a temporary funding bill that was Republican-backed. It had already passed the House. And if it cleared the Senate, it would extend government funding for 7 weeks. This was what Democrats and Republicans were fighting over, right? Democrats said that it didn't do enough to address concerns about health care. They wanted an extension of Obamacare tax credits that are set to expire at the end of the year. Republicans had said that they didn't want to negotiate with Democrats. Republicans had said Democrats were holding the government hostage to have that health care negotiation. Ultimately, when it comes to the Senate floor, that temporary funding bill, the Republican-backed one that had already passed the House, it gets 3 Democrats to vote for it. Catherine Cortez Masto, John Fetterman, and Angus King, who is an independent from Maine who caucuses with the Democrats. But it didn't get the full number of Democrats it would have needed to pass. Because there was 1 Republican no vote, they needed 8, they only got 3. So the government shuts down. That's it. Now, what does it mean? It means the nearly 4 million federal employees, depending upon how long this goes, will start to not get paid. As of today, Wednesday, federal employees will be told whether they're essential or non-essential. So some will be told to show up to work and work for the duration of the shutdown but not get paid, and they would ultimately get back pay. Those are employees like TSA agents and air traffic controllers, and the list goes on. And then there are employees that will be furloughed, and so they'll just be told don't show up to work. But then there's another wrinkle, which is that the Trump administration has already threatened to use this shutdown to not just have some employees show up and not get paid till the end and furlough others, but also identify employees that should be fired en masse and try to continue some of those mass federal firings that we saw months ago in those DOGE cuts to various federal agencies. Democrats that I talked to up here on Capitol Hill say, look, they're concerned by that, but in large part they say that that is not enough to sway them right now to vote for this legislation that would avert a government shutdown, because they believe that this is their moment to hold out for these healthcare concessions out of the administration. Remember, Democrats are in the minority. They don't control the House. They don't control the Senate. So this is really the biggest swing they have to make to try to get something out of this administration is withhold their votes on this crucial government funding legislation, which is what they're doing. Republicans have said that this is irresponsible, but the reality is the shoe's on the other foot now, because there are Republicans who have done this in the past, and Democrats have called them irresponsible in previous government shutdowns. Now, what we expect that you're going to see over the next few days is vote after vote after vote on the Senate floor. That's what John Thune, the top Republican in the Senate, has said he wants to do, to try to put Democrats on the record about this shutdown. And this debate is going to continue, but as of now, the two sides are nowhere close to a deal, and the government has been shut down. All right, so I am leaving the...
My friends, this is not a normal government shutdown. Let me explain the stakes and how we got here. The Trump regime, along with Republicans, wanted to fund the government with a continuing resolution that would have kept existing funding levels the same. But if Democrats had accepted that deal, they would have effectively given approval to all of the terrible and wildly unpopular policies that Trump has pushed through since retaking office. That includes his funding cuts to public broadcasting and foreign aid programs. It also includes Trump's signature piece of legislation, the big, ugly bill that gives the richest Americans a giant tax cut, financed largely by cuts in Medicaid, Medicare, food stamps, and clean energy programs. That big, ugly bill passed the Senate last July because it required only 51 Republican votes in a special rule called reconciliation. This time, Republicans needed Democratic votes to avoid a shutdown and to continue those big, ugly policies. They couldn't do it with just 51 votes. They needed more votes than that. Democrats, therefore, became suddenly important to them. Why the hell would any Democrat go along with that? I've lived through government shutdowns. Under normal circumstances, I understand why compromises are made to keep the government running. I have been in favor of keeping the government running. But our government is not running right now. It's effectively been shut down for months as Trump has destroyed checks and balances, usurped the power of the purse from Congress, and unleashed an authoritarian nightmare throughout the country. Democrats cannot cave into this shutdown. They must not operate as if what Trump is doing right now is normal, because it's not normal. In the short term, Democrats have to use their leverage to restore funding to vital programs that millions of Americans rely on, like Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act. And in the long term, they've got to paint a bigger picture for the American people about the devastating realities of Trump's regime. This is an opportunity for Democrats to fight back, not capitulate. Please, if you agree, share this video.
Good morning. Today is October 1st. It is 9 a.m. and the American government, the United States American government, is officially shut down. Briefly recapping how we got here, right? The federal government ran out of money after the Democratic-backed spending bill that would have extended healthcare subsidies under the Affordable Care Act and reverse cuts to Medicaid failed, right? As well as a GOP-backed stopgap funding measure that would have funded the government for 7 weeks also failed. They tried to vote on everything on Monday, it failed. They tried again yesterday, there was 2 votes, they both failed. Now, a lot of the information that I will be sharing with you all is coming from abcnews.go.com, so you could find the article yourself, but I'm going to be going through the entire thing, and I have it highlighted so you guys know where to read along. Since I had already read the first highlighted text at the beginning of the video, we're going to go straight into it with this one, right? We want to sit down and negotiate, but the Republicans can't do that in their partisan ways, where they just say it's our way or the highway, Schumer says at a news conference following Senate votes Tuesday night. The Senate is expected to vote again on Wednesday, likely on the same 2 measures that failed Tuesday. Now, this is the part of the article where it starts to let you guys know what to expect, right? So the last shutdown began, the last one that we experienced here in the United States, in the United States government, The last shutdown began in December 2018 during Trump's first term and was the longest shutdown in history, 35 days. During that shutdown, some federal workers began showing up at food banks. Many essential workers began calling in sick. Union officials and many of them couldn't afford childcare or the gas they needed to go to work, okay? By the time that the government reopened in January 2019, about $3 billion in the United States government activity evaporated, never to be recovered, according to the Congressional Budget Office. During the shutdown, as many as 4 million federal employees, including some service members, could go without a paycheck. Hundreds of thousands, including airport security, air traffic controllers, and certain members of the military, will be deemed essential workers and told to work anyway. ICE agents also can go without pay. National parks could come to close. And some Smithsonian's museums also typically close within a few days. Roughly 2 million troops could be forced to work without pay, including hundreds of members of National Guards that Trump has deployed to the United States cities. Federal contractors, including hourly workers such as janitors, security guards, are not required to pay and are also not guaranteed back pay. So you don't have to come into work, but you won't get back pay. Lawmakers on Capitol Hill will continue to get paid their 174,000 annual salaries. Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid continue to be distributed, though there can be slowdowns. The FDA, this is a big one. The FDA can't ensure that the meat, right, the milk and the eggs of livestock are safe for people to eat. They can't do their job. It's shut down. But you want to know what your president thinks about this time right now? What he thinks, he's actually all for it. You want to know why? Because he's all for the layoffs. He's all for the layoffs. Let me show you the article. Now, this is coming from federalnewsnetwork.com, and in highlighted, Trump told reporters at the White House Tuesday afternoon that he's in favor of a shutdown related RIFs to the federal workforce, and that when you shut it down, you have to do layoffs. We'd be laying off a lot of people that are going to be very affected, Trump said, and they're going to be Democrats. A lot of good could come from the shutdown, he added. We can get rid of a lot of things that we didn't want. Now, I know that you guys peeped the little dig that he made about the layoffs and the people being laid off being Democrats, right? That he wants them to be Democrats. You should already know that this administration is blaming the left, the Democrats, for this government shutdown, for this federal shutdown. So much so that companies have already started sending out mass blast emails letting everybody know that it's not the Republicans' fault, that it's the Democrats' fault, and do not blame Trump. Now, what I have highlighted is just a small little portion of what the email reads, all right? The ones that have been sent out to employees to warn them not to blame the Republicans, not to blame Trump, but to blame the Democrats. It says, unfortunately, Democrats are blocking this continuing resolution in the U.S. Senate due to unrelated policy demands, the email states. If congressional Democrats maintain their current posture and refuse to pass a clean, continuing resolution to keep the government funded before midnight on September 30th, 2025, federal appropriated funds will lapse. They already sent this out before the official shutdown took place. They had already anticipated it. They already knew who they wanted to blame, and they were blaming the left. And not just that, because Donald Trump knew where this was going to go, he wanted to make sure to plant the seed of fear by letting everybody know that these layoffs are going to happen now. I'm happy about it. I want this. And in fact, I'm going to try to make sure that the people that are laid off are Democrats, since it's you guys' fault that this is happening. That's what your president is doing. Mind you, the last time that we dealt with a federal shutdown was in his term, was under his presidency in 2018. And it was the longest that this U.S. history has ever seen. To the point that once we came back, $3 billion of government funding evaporated. I see why he wants another shutdown. That was a transfer of wealth right there. $3 billion gone to never be recovered again? And we can't even ask questions about it because it was a government shutdown? Let's see how much money we lose this time. Let's see how much money we lose this time around. Let's see.
We are 3 hours away from government shutdown, 3 hours, and why some flocks out there shrug their shoulders and think, oh, it's just politics in Washington again. The truth is, this is about to ripple into people's lives in ways they can't even imagine yet. Let's call it what it is. A shutdown means pain, not for the wealthy, not for the loopsticks, not for the politicians who can afford to play chicken with the country's economy. The pain falls directly on working class families, on single mothers, on federal workers who suddenly see their paycheck vanish. The pain falls on people who live paycheck to paycheck, who don't have a cushion, who depend on government programs to survive. And if you are black in America, you already know when American catches a cold, black American catches pneumonia, this shutdown is going to hit us the hardest. Let's walk through what this means. First, medical. Trump and Republicans are refusing to keep medical funded. They are openly saying healthcare for millions of low-income Americans is on the chopping block. Imagine having a child with asthma or an elderly parent on life-saving medication and waking up to the news that their coverage is in jeopardy because politicians decided to use your health as a bargaining chip. Medical isn't some luxury program, it's survival. Without it, millions of people are just one hospital visit away from bankruptcy or worse. Then there is Obamacare. Premiums are set to skyrocket, some by as much as 114%. That is not a typo. Over 100% increases. Families who are already stretching every dollar will now be asked to choose between rent, food, and health insurance. And this isn't an accident, this is policy. This is by design. Next, let's talk about federal workers. During the shutdown, many of them still have to report to work. TSA agents, costume workers, air traffic controllers, essential employees. But here's the catch, they won't get paid. You will have people guiding airports, scanning bags, and ensuring public safety working for free. And if you think morally is low now, just wait until entire families can't cover groceries because their paycheck is held hostage by political theater. And it doesn't stop there. SNAP and weak food assistance for families who need it most. Section 8, housing for voucher that keep roofs over heads. Head Start programs that give children a fair shot at early education, all of it frozen or delayed. And if the shutdown drags on, those delays can turn into suspensions. That means mothers showing up at grocery stores with EBT cards that suddenly don't work, families getting eviction notices because their rent assistance didn't come through, children locked out of the classroom that once offered them stability. Tell me, how do you call yourself a great nation when you can't even guarantee food, housing, or healthcare for your citizens because two sides in Congress are too stubborn to compromise? And let's not forget small businesses. The SBA, the Small Business Administration, will not be issuing loans during the shutdown. That means entrepreneurs who are ready to open their doors or expand their businesses will be forced to sit on the sidelines. Housing loans through FHA and USDA will slow or stop. That hits home buyers, especially first-time buyers. Even passports and visas get delayed. That is how deep this goes. Families waiting to travel, businesses waiting to bring in workers, students waiting for approvals frozen. And yet, Trump and his allies are treating this like a virtual lap. They are framing this as a necessary fight to get medical, to slash healthcare, to starve social programs. But ask yourself, who benefits from this? Certainly not you, not the average American, not the people scraping to survival. This is the second time in recent history we have been here. The last government shutdown happened in December of 2018. It dragged on for 35 days and the longest in history. Do you remember that federal workers lining up at food banks, airport lines stretching for hours because TSA workers were calling out sick, national parks filled with trash because there were no employees to clean them? That was under Trump too. And what was the fight about? Funding for a war on the Mexico border, a war that never even got completed. So let's be clear, these shutdowns are not about fiscal responsibilities, they are not about tightening belts or making America strong, they are about ideology, they are about cruelty, they are about using people's lives as leverage in a political game. Now, if you're sitting at home asking how does this affect me directly, here's your answer. If you're a federal employee, your paycheck might not come. If you're a contractor, your work could be paused and your income cut off. If you are receiving SNAP, WIC, or Section 8, your benefit could be delayed or denied. If you're applying for a passport or visa, expect long delays. If you're waiting on student loans or financial aid process through the Department of Education, that could frozen too. And if this shutdown drags on like day one in 2018, the economy will take a hit. Billions lost, consumer confidence drops, and it's always this little guy who feels it first. This is why Democrats are trying to hold the line, because they know if medical gets gutted now, it's gone forever. And once it's gone, bringing it back will be damn near impossible. Trump and his allies want a healthcare system where if you can't pay, you don't get care, period. Now, I want to pause here and talk about the bigger picture, because this isn't just about the healthcare or paychecks. It's about what kind of country America wants to be. Do we believe in shared responsibility? Do we believe in that in the richest country on earth, nobody should go hungry, nobody should be homeless, nobody should die because they couldn't afford medicine? Or do we believe in survival of the fittest, that only those who can afford it deserve to live comfortably? That is the real debate hiding behind all this. And Black America is watching closely, because we know that what it means when programs like medical, SNAP, and Section 8 get cut. We know the history. Every time there is a so-called budget crisis, our communities are the first ones sacrificed. We are the ones told to tighten our belts, while corporations get tax cuts and politicians get rises. Think about that. Congress will still get paid during this shutdown. Trump isn't losing his income, but the mother in Detroit, the father in Atlanta, the grandmother in Houston, they are the ones losing food stamps, healthcare, housing. That is how these fights really affect. And I want to remind you, the 2018 shutdown wasn't just a political loss. It was a human tragedy, 35 days of uncertainty, families falling behind on bills, credit scores ruined, people forced into payday loans just to survive. And when the shutdown finally ended, no back pay for contractors, no apology, just business as usual. So the question is, how long will this shutdown last? 3 days, 2 weeks, 35 days again, longer, nobody knows. But one thing is guaranteed: the longer it lasts, the deeper the pain. And when you hear politicians talk about sacrifices for the greater good, ask yourself, who sacrificed? Because it's never theirs, it's always yours. So we are here again, 3 hours shy of shutdown. Trump wants to gut medical. Democrats are fighting to keep it alive. Federal workers are bracing for missed checks. Families are bracing for empty refrigerators. Small businesses are bracing for frozen loans. And the America people are left asking, are we great again?
And if you have watched up to this extent, thank you so much for all the love and support. Don't forget to please leave me your own thought in the comment section of what you think of this video. And please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. Alright, lovely. See you when I upload the next video.